actually not the case and is the best way of making your piece completely irreparable. Sorry if that's insulting, but that was the first mistake I made and it's the first mistake I don't want you guys to make. There's three main things we're going to talk about today: where to put your glue, how much glue do you use, and what type of glue should you use. And I will tell you exactly what type of glue I have used for a long time and what I would recommend that you guys use too. Hey friends, welcome back. Gluing leather might just be the most important but easiest to get wrong aspect of leathercraft that there is. One of the biggest things that made me fall in love with leathercraft when I got started in 2019, all those years ago, was the repairability. How after many years and possibly many owners, the only thing that failed is the stitching. When I was working at Equus back a couple of years ago, we had multiple things come in for repair. Now this is not uncommon. You might be thinking, oh, it's crappy work. It's really not. Stitching fails unless you use polyester thread, which I personally really dislike using. I like a natural thread. Natural threads break down with age, with movement of the leather, with movement inside your pocket, with movement around your hand around a handle, or the strain of picking up a bag over years. The thread will break down. Some of which I saw after literally a decade's use, and all we had to do was restitch it. Now, with all of that in mind, let's talk about how not to make your piece completely unrepairable and how you should be gluing your piece. There's three main things we're going to talk about today: where to put your glue, how much glue do you use, and what type of glue should you use. And I will tell you exactly what type of glue I have used for a long time and what I would recommend that you guys use too. So, where do you put your glue? When I started leather, and this is probably the case for you too, I thought that if you're putting two pieces of leather together, if you're lining a piece or you're stitching a bag together or whatever it might be, you cover both sides in glue, you stick them together, and that's it. It's actually not the case and is the best way of making your piece completely irreparable and feel like an absolute plank of wood when you're finished. Sorry if that's insulting, but that was the first mistake I made and it's the first mistake I don't want you guys to make. Rule of thumb is if you're lining something, you want about 10 mil around it. That is it. That is all you want. That is an absolute maximum amount of glue you want. If you're attaching a pocket or you're attaching anything that you're going to be stitching through, most things you're going to be stitching through, I know, but if you're going to be stitching something through it, you only want enough glue where that stitching line is going to be to the edge. That is all you want, because at the end of it, let's say you're stitching a pocket to a card holder. At the end of it, you're going to be taking a bone folder, you're going to put it in and you're going to run it around to break the spare amount of glue off. Now, why bother? Why would you need to do that if you've only glued 3-4 mil into it? You don't. Your glue is only there in that case to hold the pieces together. That is all it's doing and help secure those stitches. You don't need to put 5-10 mil of glue around a card holder. It's unnecessary. Now, leather, like skin, because leather is skin, is by its very nature water resistant. Most of them are. And if you're using a leather that has a very resistant coating on the back side, you have to sand it off. But most importantly, glue will basically not stick to leather grain. So the top surface that you see is called the grain, the bottom surface you see is called the flesh. The closed grain, because it's being closed during the tanning process, glue will not stick to. It'll stick a little bit, but as soon as you peel it slightly, it'll just come straight off. So you want to, if you're gluing to the grain of the leather, if you're gluing to the grain of the leather on the top, you want to take a scalpel or a knife or some sandpaper and you want to sand that off. You want to get down to the fiber. You don't need to sand a millimeter off, you just need to sand the top layer off, so you open up those pores and you allow your glue to absorb into it. That is the only way you stick leather together. It allows that glue to really penetrate those fibers and keep it stuck together, because the purpose of gluing it is obviously to stick that stuff together. How much glue should you use? Well, let's start off by what you don't want to do. You do not want to put so much on you make your leather damp. You don't want to absolutely obliterate it and slather it with glue into the point where it's all soggy. That is not what you want to do. That's not what you need to do. The way that glue, and when I say glue, I mean contact adhesive. I don't mean like a PVA glue, which you could use, but I'm talking about a contact adhesive. The way that it works is it penetrates the fibers, but it's actually the glue. When you put the two pieces together, because you put it on both sides and then you join it, it's the glue sticking to the glue, not the leather sticking to the leather. And that you need to keep in mind is that you're not actually sticking the leather together, you're sticking the glue to the glue after it's penetrated those fibers and grips that together, okay? And the only way it's able to do that is if you allow it to dry before you stick it. Contact adhesive is designed to be dry or tacky. It should feel sticky, not wet. Don't stick it together wet. No one likes it wet. You need to stick it together when it's tacky, and it will stick instantly if you've done it right. And when it will go on white and it will dry clear, and when it turns clear you stick it together. It's that simple, not difficult. This is not rocket science, this is leather work. Now the contact adhesive, if you do it properly, if you allow it to dry and then you stick it together, is stronger than the leather. And you can test that by putting two pieces together that you've prepared properly, letting it dry, putting it together, and then waiting a few minutes for it to fully set, and then tearing it apart, and you will see fibers coming out, and that is because you're pulling the fibers apart. The glue bond is stronger than the leather fiber bond. Juicy bit at the end. What glue should you use? The TLDR of it is I like water-based contact adhesive. There's two primary types of contact adhesive. Group A, which we don't want to use, is your solvent-based contact adhesive, and B is your water-based contact adhesive. That one we do want to use. Traditionally, solvent-based is very, very strong, and it's originally used in construction, manufacturing and things. It's ridiculously strong. It's held together by a solvent. Solvent evaporates, you have the adhesive left, grips together. You destroy stuff by putting it together, and also it's incredibly bad for your lungs. So if you are going to use a solvent-based contact adhesive like a barge cement, very popular in the US, please use a well-ventilated room, and also use a respirator. That is dangerous. Don't breathe it in, it's really, really bad. It doesn't need to be able to lift up a building. You're stitching the edge, you're stitching 5 millimeters of leather together. It doesn't need to be able to lift a planet on takeoff. It's not that. It doesn't need to be that strong. Use something that's designed for this purpose, like a water-based adhesive. It's really, really, really hard to repair stuff with a solvent-based adhesive. It's used a lot in America. I know you guys absolutely love barge cement. I don't know why, I don't understand it. Please stop using it. Now I use, what you may have clicked on this video for, is I use EcoSar 16PIU. That is the adhesive I use. I've used it for several years now. I absolutely love it. There are, of course, different options. There's one that AA Crack sell. I think it's, I can't remember the name. I'll put it on the screen. There's not a lot of difference between the two. I actually find this one stronger, but also, and they claim that it's chemically identical. I don't know how they can claim that, but they say it's chemically identical. But if it's the same thing, and they're claiming that it is the same thing, and this one is almost half the price. Why would I spend twice the amount of money? I don't understand that logic. I'm not going to do it personally. I recommend this. If you guys want to go and try something else out, there's some really nice Japanese ones. Leatherbox sells one of them. I'll put a link to that as well. And there we go, guys. So the long and short of it is, and you're gluing around the outside of something, 10 mils, all you need. That's absolute max. If you need to get further to the edges, between 3 and 5 mil, where the stitching line is. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content I put out, please do go ahead and subscribe. It does help the channel out massively, and I know you are enjoying it because I can see the analytics and I can see how many of you guys are returning, and I can see how many of you guys are subscribed, are returning viewers that are not subscribed. I can see all of this, and I know that a lot of you are doing it, so click the bloody button down below so I can keep making videos, please. That's it, that's rant over, and thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you next time. Have a fantastic week. Take care.